Once ever so often, there will come a game that will revolutionise a generation. 2018's God of War was just that. One of the most celebrated games of modern times, God of War transformed a straightforward hack and slash into an epic narrative action-adventure, transforming a once one-minded bloodlust brute to a multifaceted, sympathetic father. Now considered the pinnacle in single-player gaming and a benchmark in what other companies strive for, but how did this game get this type of admiration? Hey guys, how's it going? Lap here. Today I'll be taking a look at God of War, or God of War 4, however you want to call it. I'll be giving a brief take on its production, characters, gameplay, design and story. I generally tend to avoid spoilers in my videos, however in this video I will be giving out minor spoilers based on the fact that it is the 8th installment in the series. As always, the running soundtrack for this video are my acoustic arrangement of the game's music. I will be uploading individual covers of these on my channel, so do subscribe to keep up with the releases. With that said, let's get down to it.
Boy. You're a boy, aren't you?
2018's God of War was a very special game for me. There was a period of time when I didn't play any video games, or the video games I did play were generally light, short, or straightforward. But eventually I started expanding into narrative-driven games, but nothing really struck me for a while. It wasn't until I played God of War that I was instantly hooked, and I knew this was something exceptional. But how did a stagnating one-dimensional killer in 7 previous entries become one of the deepest and most relatable protagonists in modern gaming? Let's look at the development. Santa Monica Studios started production on God of War in 2014. It would be the sequel to 2010's God of War 3. At early stages of development, the creative director, Cory Barlog, realised the game's overall structure was becoming stale and needed a change. Santa Monica originally wanted to reboot the story with a new protagonist. However, Barlog convinced the team to continue using Kratos, but agreed that he needed to be altered. Being a PlayStation 4 exclusive and the first God of War to be released on the console, Barlog knew they needed to reinvent and do something bold to capture a wider audience. This led to the idea of an older and wiser Kratos. Playing with the concept of an anti-hero, the task was to make Kratos likeable and sympathetic. Attaching his own experience of becoming a father, Barlog would use this to be the basis of the narrative. Kratos would now be accompanied by a son, Atreus. Barlog would channel a lot of his own personal lessons and ordeals into the development of Kratos. Like Barlog, it was Kratos' responsibility to raise and guide Atreus to keep him from making the same bad habits or mistake he once did. The team wanted a major shift from his past installments and decided to move away from the Greek mythology. They toyed around with Egyptian mythology but ultimately went for Norse. I think it turned out to be a pretty good move. They also named the game simply as God of War. Although this was a sequel to the previous games, they wanted to relay that this was a reimagination, or in a minor sense, a soft reboot. Barlog took major influence from other development teams. The gameplay took a complete shift as he wanted something more depth and in line with games such as From Software's Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Narrative-wise, it was important to make Atreus a character that wasn't annoying. So Barlog took inspiration from Naughty Dog's The Last of Us and Guerrilla Games' Horizon Zero Dawn as sources to make compelling character progressions. The game takes place in Norway, in the realm of Midgard. We take control of Kratos, the main protagonist of the game, and the former Greek god of war. The story begins with Kratos preparing a funeral pyre for his recently deceased wife Faye, with aid from their son Atreus. It was Faye's last wish to have her ashes spread across the highest peak of the realm. This will be our main plot for our journey. However, Kratos is hesitant to start as he feels Atreus is not ready for the long and dangerous journey due to his poor health as well as his mental discipline. But push comes to shove when they're visited by a stranger sent by Odin. Realising they're being hunted, Kratos decides to leave home with Atreus, beginning their journey. As you progress, you'll learn about the multiple conflicts within the realm, and that the gods are not as fair as most believed. On your journey, you'll acquaint with the dwarven brothers, Brok and Sindri. Brok is blunt and rude, however he is good-natured and generally cares for the pair's well-being. Sindri is polite, well-mannered and honourable, however he has an overly protective stance on cleanliness. The brothers will assist you throughout, acting as the merchants of the game, offering to sell, craft or upgrade any armors or equipment. They in addition offer side quests. You'll also meet a mysterious but friendly witch of the woods. She is well aware of Kratos' godhood and warns them on the test the gods of the realm have on outsiders. She will assist you, offering assistance and direction. Another ally you'll meet is Mimir, a witty and warm personnel. He will eventually join the party and become the guide and source of information throughout. As you advance, there'll be multiple types of enemy you'll face. You'll also see the growing bond between father and son, as they go through many highs and lows to find their way to the peak of the realm. God of War is a third-person action-adventure game that places you in a semi-open world and incorporates RPG and hack-and-slash combat mechanics. The game uses puzzle throughout. Some puzzles will need to be solved to progress story-wise, while some will give you access to areas with chests to loot. Your default weapon is the Leviathan Axe. This could be swung or thrown to defeat your enemies. You'll have a light attack and a heavy attack as melee, and a shield to block or parry. You also have the option to dodge. Another combat mechanic is the introduction of runics. These are basically special weapon skills that could be used to give out major damage, element damage, or stuns the opponent. You can equip two types of runics, one for the light attacks and a second for the heavy attacks. There are a variety of runics to choose from. All of them offer different type of combat factors or area of range, allowing the player the option to plan out specific setups for certain opponents. The player also has the ability to enter into Spartan Rage. Kratos will build Rage Meter via combat, and when triggered, give him unstoppable hand-to-hand attacks with increasing damage and speed, meanwhile recovering health. Although you control Kratos mainly, Atreus is used to provide combat support. One button is allocated to Atreus, which enables him to shoot arrows from his bow, which could stun or damage enemies. Eventually, Atreus' bow will help unlock paths and puzzles. Similar to Kratos, Atreus also has runic skills. They could offer a plethora of benefits, from massive damage, stun, or even locating health or rage crystals. RPG elements were also added in. The game offers different types of armor and accessories such as talismans, pommels, and enchantments. All of these have different types of statistics, which allow the player to cater to their needs. Other RPG traits include crafting resource and currency, which are used to buy or upgrade armor, runics, weapons, or other additional accessories. Experience points are used to learn new skills that can be unlocked on a skill tree. The heavy emphasis of the game is the themes. What makes the narrative so appealing is the game does not hide the fact that Kratos is not a model example of a hero. He is someone that has killed countless times simply because he's lost control or succumbed to hate. But how this game humanises Kratos is by showing us how he is troubled by his past actions and actively trying to amend. Another building factor is his responsibility to raise his son, trying to educate him the rights and wrongs in life so that Atreus will not repeat his past mistakes. Kratos also struggles to open up with Atreus. Due to the way Kratos is raised and the tribulations he's been through, it's difficult for him to show simple acts of love such as offering moral support. A lot of father and son growth comes from side quests, or favours as it's known in game. Certain interactions and unique dialogues are only uncovered through these missions. This is one of the major strengths in the game. Each side quest mission is as well developed as the main narrative. It helps builds on all the other supporting characters, offer additional narrative information that may not be mentioned if you just focus on the main campaign. This game also recites a lot of Norse lore. Atreus and Mimir will give brief summaries on Norse mythology and personnels. By the end of the game, your knowledge of Norse lore will be quite extensive. Some of these lores can be obtained through collectibles. God of War has multiple types of collectibles, from myth panels to runestones to artifacts. But the most notorious one are Odin's Ravens. There are over 50 ravens to collect in game. The concept is pretty straightforward. You throw your axe at them and they count towards the total. Some are pretty obvious, but some are harder to locate and require some measured throws to hit. If you're like me, a bit of a completionist, you'll end up spamming your camera and listening out for chains to see where those little buggers are hiding. And don't get me started on Sigrun. If you know, you know. My head hurts. What makes God of War so powerful is its breathtaking designs. Each environment and location is wonderfully crafted, with its own unique tone and palettes, from the tiniest speck of attention of the props to diverse and immersive landscapes. All of the realm gives off its own vibe, from mysterious to atmospheric to uneasy to calming, all helping to build up sentiment during gameplay. The Norse imagery used is fantastic. The team made incredible attention to detail in its research and has captured and rendered this beautifully, giving off a sense of realism and wonder. But the most incredible thing about the design is that it's one shot. Yes, this game has no cuts or fades. It's one continuous motion, something that was considered very difficult to do, if not impossible. This process allows seamless transition from one scene to another, or dive straight into gameplay without any major hiccup. This was inspired by Barlog's observation of camera work in Hollywood films. Barlog wanted the player to be constantly engaged with the narrative and gameplay, so he decided on this ambitious approach to continuously keep the gamer occupied. To build on immersion, Santa Monica used professional actors instead of voiceover to create their scenes. All scenes were motion captured for realistic facial and movement animations. Kratos, played by Christopher Judge, was brought in to replace long-term veteran Terrence C. Carlin, partly because of Judge's towering stature when motion filming beside Sonny Sojic's Atreus. All scenes were captured on one take, without any cuts. This is because Barlog wanted the emotions of all scenes to be as authentic and engaging as possible. Composer Bear McCreary's soundtrack was a fusion between traditional Norse folk music, Renaissance/church male and female choirs, all channeled within an orchestral ensemble. The music used dynamic heavily, with the orchestra building and dropping at parts to push certain emotions during gameplay. Musically, the score intertwines around 5 character themes. These themes are repeated throughout in the soundtrack to place connection to characters within the setting. The music emphasizes a lot of key changes. This is designed to keep the player on edge. For example, on the track God of War, there's a key change from C minor to A minor. This 1.5 tone key change creates a jarring effect, and the sudden change makes you feel uneasy and alert. Another thing that is used is odd sounding melody. This builds tension and keeps the listener on suspense. For example, on the track Deliverance. This melody plays around with sharps and flats, which builds musical clashes, creating an eerie and unresolved feeling for the listener. The soundtrack uses a lot of classical format to create a sense of anxiety. Dissonance, key or time signature changes, string legatos or chromatic runs to orchestral tuttis are utilised frequently before generally resolving back to the original exposition or towards a cadence. This was difficult to arrange for the guitar. A lot of orchestral dynamics were lost when simplifying into 1 or 2 parts. Certain parts had to be rearranged as it wouldn't have the same impact as it would if I kept it as the original. Although challenging, I enjoyed making acoustic arrangements of these tracks, as I could truly appreciate the way the pieces are built and how even the littlest intricate notes could lead to powerful sections. Pieces such as Valkyries or The Dragon truly highlights amazing orchestration and melody writing. God of War is a fantastic game. The combination of strong narrative, gameplay, pacing, sound and design made this extremely well-rounded and very hard to dislike. Santa Monica Studio crafted this with a lot of attention to detail, with endearing characters and technical game designs. The risks they took were great, however it paid off ultimately, as the game is now considered one of the standard blueprints in how to make a near-perfect game. In conclusion, yes, you should play God of War. This game will grab your attention from start to end, with sensational character and plot development mixed in with super fluid gameplay, incredible beauty in design and gripping music. This game, without a doubt, is a must. Thank you for watching that episode of Look At. Please do give this video a like and share, and do give this channel a subscribe. Little things like this will help my channel grow and let me continue working on videos like this. Leave any comments and suggestions below, and until next time, take care.